There comes a quiet day in a woman's life that doesn't look dramatic from the outside at all. No one is shouting, no one is leaving with suitcases, no big betrayal has just exploded. Maybe you're sitting on the edge of your bed after another confusing conversation. Maybe you're driving home in silence after yet again feeling like an option, not a priority. Maybe you're staring at your phone, watching the three dots appear and disappear, waiting for someone who never quite arrives all the way. And something in you, deeper than anger, deeper than disappointment, finally whispers, "I feel safer alone than I do with someone who only half chooses me." It's not a slogan, it's not a quote on a pretty background, it's a realization that lands in your body like a click. This isn't about hating love or swearing off people. Jung would say this is the moment your soul refuses to keep negotiating your worth. Because there's a special kind of pain that comes from being almost loved, almost their priority, almost their partner, almost the one they choose in daylight, not just in secret, almost respected, almost seen. It's the ache of being barely chosen, tolerated, kept around, but never really held. And once you see it clearly, once you feel what it's doing to your spirit, being alone stops feeling like failure and starts feeling like sanctuary. Before we go deeper, pause with me for a moment. If you've ever felt that you were always almost chosen, always good enough to lean on but not to commit to, and some part of you is simply tired, type the word enough in the comments. Just that one word. You don't have to tell your whole story. You're simply anchoring this moment in your own heart. I am done being barely chosen. I am enough. And if you're new here, take a second to like this video and subscribe, so you don't miss the next time your soul needs words like this. At the end of this video, there's a playlist waiting on the end screen. Save it for tonight when you fall asleep, so your subconscious can keep listening long after your eyes close. Now, let's talk about the day you realize being alone is actually safer than staying where your spirit is starving. The slow ache of being barely chosen. Being barely chosen doesn't always look obviously toxic. Sometimes it looks like they text, but only when it's convenient. They say they care, but somehow you're always the one adjusting. They tell you they're just not ready, but they're plenty ready to receive your energy, your body, your empathy. They never say, "I don't want you." They say, "Not yet. Maybe. I'm confused. Let's just keep things how they are for now." Jung would say your ego clings to the maybe because the no would force a clean break. The maybe keeps you in limbo, half hopeful, half wounded, trying to decode someone who's not actually speaking clearly. So you stay. You rationalize they're just afraid of love. They've been hurt before. They need time. They're not good with words, but I feel they care. And you do feel something. Sometimes there are beautiful moments. A look, a laugh, a deep late-night conversation that reminds you why you hold on. But then days pass with distance. Plans are vague. Your needs become pressure. Your tears become too much. You become the woman who rewrites herself to fit their comfort, walks on eggshells not to scare them away, stands at emotional doors, waiting to be let in, even though there's always some excuse. This is not love. This is slow self-abandonment. And your body knows. Your chest tightens when their name pops up. You feel the high of attention and the crash of withdrawal. You live in a cycle of micro-hope and micro-heartbreak. Jung would call this a complex, a cluster of old wounds, beliefs and emotions that get activated in relationship. It might be touching something much older. The feeling of being the child who was sort of seen but not deeply attuned to. The one who felt lucky to get little crumbs of affection. The one who internalized, if I am patient, quiet, understanding enough, they will finally choose me. So every time you are barely chosen as an adult, that little girl comes back. She sits inside you and says, maybe this time, maybe this person, maybe if I don't ask for too much. And you hurt, but you stay. Until one day, the pain of staying splits open something deeper. The day your nervous system stops lying for you. The day you realize being alone is safer often doesn't start with a big decision. It starts with your body refusing to keep pretending. You notice that you feel calmer when they don't message you because you're not on the hook to respond perfectly. You notice that when you're not with them, you can breathe more easily, you sleep better, you laugh more freely with people who don't confuse you. You notice that your anxiety spikes because you're in this half relationship, not because you're too sensitive. Jung didn't talk about nervous systems the way we do now, but he understood this. When the life you're living is too far from your soul's truth, the psyche protests through symptoms. Your symptoms might be the constant knot in your stomach, the overthinking, analyzing every word they said, the exhaustion of waiting for them to come around, the shame of knowing you're accepting less than you deserve, and finally, you stop interpreting your body as the problem. You start seeing it as the messenger. If I feel this unsafe with someone I call my person, something is deeply wrong here. This is a turning point. Because as long as you believe your sensitivity is the issue, you will keep adjusting yourself. The day you realize your body is telling the truth about a situation your ego doesn't want to admit, you begin to move from self-blame to self-protection. Let's pause here for a moment. If any part of this feels like what you're quietly living through, if you know your body has been signaling this isn't safe, even while your mind has been inventing reasons to stay, just take a slow breath. You are not crazy. You are not too much. You are waking up. If this is resonating, take a second to like this video and subscribe so you don't miss the next time your heart needs this kind of clarity. Now, let's talk about the moment that truly changes everything. When you understand that being alone is not a punishment, it's a boundary with the past. Alone is not empty. It's where you stop betraying yourself. The word alone shakes something in many women because of what they've been taught. You've been told that alone, tas unwanted. Alone, failed. Alone, you weren't chosen. So you cling to any thread of connection, even if it's thin, frayed, and cutting into your hands. But from a Jungian perspective, alone can also mean this: I am no longer willing to sit at tables where my soul is starving. The day you decide being alone is safer than being barely chosen, you're not just making a decision about this one person, you're making a decision about you. You're saying, I would rather sit in an honest silence with myself than be in a room where I have to earn every glance, over-explain every need, and shrink every time I'm told I'm asking for too much. You start to see alone time not as a sign you lost, but as a space where you stop losing yourself. In that space, something profound happens. You begin to hear your own voice again, not the voice that begs, please don't leave, I'll change. The deeper voice that says, I am not here to beg anyone to see me, I am here to see myself. Jung called this deeper layer the self, the organizing center of your psyche that knows who you are beyond your roles, beyond your wounds, beyond who did or didn't choose you. When you're constantly chasing someone's half-love, you can't hear that self. They become the mirror. They become the judge. Their inconsistency becomes your weather. But when you pull your energy back, even if it terrifies you, you clear a path for that deeper voice to come forward. And it does. In small ways at first. You feel a slight lifting when you imagine a life where you are not waiting for their messages. You feel a sense of dignity when you picture yourself not explaining the obvious anymore, that you deserve effort, presence, clarity. You realize, I am less lonely in my own company than I am next to someone who keeps me guessing about whether I matter. That realization is not cold, it's sacred, the shadow of barely chosen. And why you kept repeating it, Jung would ask a hard question here. Why were you available for being barely chosen in the first place? Not to blame you, to liberate you, because your tolerance for crumbs doesn't come out of nowhere. Somewhere in your history, you learned that attention must be earned. Love is unstable. Your needs are inconvenient. If you want to keep someone, you must accept almost and pretend it's enough. Maybe one parent was emotionally present only on certain days. Maybe you had to be the good, quiet, helpful child to feel liked. Maybe love in your house came with conditions or sudden withdrawals. So your nervous system learned this pattern. Half love is normal. If I am patient and understanding enough, it will eventually turn into whole love. Fast forward to adulthood and you find yourself drawn, almost magnetically, to people who send mixed signals, ask for your emotional labor without giving you commitment, call you special but never change their behavior. It's not random, it's familiar. Jung called this repetition compulsion. The psyche unconsciously recreates old wounds in new forms, hoping for a different outcome. So the little girl who was half seen keeps choosing partners who half choose her, because on some deep unconscious level she's thinking, maybe this time, if I love hard enough, if I am understanding enough, if I don't leave, someone will finally choose me fully. And then the old story will be healed. But the healing doesn't come that way. You cannot heal abandonment by repeatedly standing in front of people who are willing to abandon you. You heal it the day you refuse to abandon yourself, even if that means walking away alone. The moment you choose yourself over half-love. There is a specific moment in this journey that looks, from the outside, like nothing. No one might see it. No dramatic posts. No, I'm done with everyone's speech. It's just you, your honest soul, and a decision. After another unanswered message, another postponed plan, another, I'm just so busy, you know how it is. You feel that now familiar sting of being unprioritized. In the past, you would have explained it away, texted again, tried to be extra nice, lowered your needs even more. But this time, something in you says, no, not loud, not rage-filled, just no more. No more rationalizing someone else's emotional laziness. No more dressing up their crumbs as a feast. No more using my empathy as a leash to keep me tied to confusion. Jung might say this is the self exerting itself over the old complex. The wounded pattern says, stay, maybe this time they'll see you. The self says, we've played this scene enough times. We already know the ending. This is not where you are going to be reborn. So you take your energy back. Maybe you stop initiating. Maybe you say clearly, this doesn't work for me, and watch whether actions change. If they don't, you don't keep campaigning for your own worth. You allow the distance. You step out of the audition, and then the hardest part, you sit in the quiet that follows. Midway, check in. If you are somewhere in that quiet now, past the last almost relationship, past the last half-love, sitting with yourself and wondering if you did the right thing. Know this. The quiet after self-respect is always better than the noise after self-betrayal. If this is touching you, take a moment to like this video and subscribe so you don't miss future messages that speak to exactly this chapter of your life. Now, let's talk about what grows in that quiet when you no longer accept being barely chosen. What grows in the space you used to fill with chasing. When you stop investing your time, beauty, intelligence, and heart into almosts, you suddenly have energy you've never really had before. At first, it feels like discomfort. You instinctively reach for your phone. You miss the rush of those inconsistent messages. You crave that little hit of, they thought of me. But slowly, something else emerges behind the cravings. You start to remember what you like when you're not performing. The music you play when no one else is listening. The way you move in your own space when you're not being watched. The topics that light you up when you're not trying to impress anyone. You notice new desires. To rearrange your life in ways that soothe your nervous system. To read, learn, create, travel, pray, rest. Not as ways to glow up for someone to finally pick you, but because you enjoy them. Jung would say this is your libido, your psychic energy, flowing back from the person it was projected onto and returning to its source. You begin to pour that energy into your work or art, invest in friendships that feel mutual, deepen your spiritual life, build routines that hold you. You're no longer drained by waiting for someone else's decisions. You're busy making your own. And ironically, this is when you start to become even more magnetic, to yourself first and then to others. Because nothing glows like a woman who is no longer auditioning for a role in someone else's life. Being alone becomes sacred, not scary. Over time, alone stops sounding like punishment. It starts sounding like no one raising your anxiety for fun, no one breadcrumbing you to keep you as backup, no one disappearing and reappearing like a storm, no one suggesting your needs are too much when they are simply unwilling to meet them. Instead, alone becomes a bed you sleep deeply in, a home that feels like you, a calendar that reflects your values, a heart that doesn't jump at every notification. You might still desire partnership. You might still want a family, a shared life. Jung would never tell you to cut off longing. He would guide you to refine it. So now your longing sounds different. Not, please someone choose me so I don't have to face myself, but I am open to sharing my already full life with someone whose presence deepens my peace, not shatters it. You don't idolize loneliness, but you no longer fear it more than you fear self-betrayal. Your hierarchy changes. Peace first, self-respect second, connection that honors both third. Anything less than that is too expensive. If you're still here, this is for you. Maybe you're listening with a lump in your throat because you know you're still in something half-hearted right now. Part of you loves them. Part of you is loyal to their potential. Part of you is terrified that if you let go, nothing better will come. That fear is real. But Jung would ask, what has the pattern of being barely chosen cost you so far? How many tears? How much self-doubt? How many nights questioning your worth? How much of your life on hold? And what might be possible if you gave yourself the same loyalty you keep giving to people who don't fully show up? The day you realize being alone is safer than being barely chosen is not the day you stop believing in love. It's the day you stop believing love looks like sacrificing your sanity for someone else's convenience. It's the day you declare, no more auditions, I am the woman who chooses herself first. Any love that enters my life must be safe enough for my nervous system, deep enough for my soul, and consistent enough for my heart. If some part of you knows that you are done being the almost, and you are ready, slowly, gently, to live as someone who is enough even in her own quiet company, type the word enough in the comments if you haven't already. Just that one word, so your future self can scroll back and see the exact moment you stopped calling loneliness a curse and started calling self-protection wisdom. And if this spoke to your heart, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and tap the notification bell so you don't miss the next time your soul needs a message like this. When you're about to sleep tonight, don't just scroll into more noise. The playlist is at the end of this video. It will pop up on the end screen. Hit play on that playlist and let it run softly in the background as you drift off. Your body will rest, but your subconscious will keep listening, keep healing, keep releasing the pattern of being barely chosen, keep strengthening the part of you that knows, I am safer with my own honest company than in any space that asks me to doubt my worth. Save the playlist, fall asleep with it, and let these messages sink from your mind into your soul, until one day you look around at the life, friendships, and love you've allowed in, and you realize it all began the day you decided that you would rather walk alone in truth than be almost loved, in a life that wasn't worthy of you.